Hello, today I want to tell you some tricks on how to make a line chart enhanced. So I have Tableau Public open and I'm connecting to that sample superstore dataset from Kaggle, and you need to have a Kaggle.com account in order to download the datasets from the site. And I'm going to put order date on my column shelf, and I'm going to select month continuous. So the first set of date parts are discrete and the second part are continuous. So I'm going to go ahead and select that second one, and it gives me a little preview that it looks like May and then the year. And then I'm going to put sales on the rows shelf. So we see that we have this line chart here. I don't like these lines, so a nice habit to get into when you first start creating something in a dashboard is going up to the Format menu and selecting Workbook. So Format menu, Workbook, and I like to get rid of the grid lines across my entire workbook from this menu. So I'm going to select Turn it off for grid lines. I'm going to select More. I don't want 0 lines. And I am going to take off axis rulers. I'm going to turn those off there. So this is a lot cleaner without having those grid lines there. So Format, Workbook, and then no grid lines, no 0 lines, and no axis rulers. So that's one way to clean up the entire workbook at once. And the next part is I'm going to edit this axis here. So I'm going to right click on this and select Edit Axis, and I'm going to delete this month of order date because that is not really helping the visualization, and it's creating what I like to call visual noise. So I just deleted that title right at the bottom. So I'm going to close out of this menu. The other part I like to do is right click on this axis and select Format. And it's going to take me to the formatting data pane on the left hand side, and under scale I'm going to select Custom for the dates, and I'm going to put in 3 lowercase m's, a space, and then 2 y's. So this shows me a 4-digit month and a 2-digit year with a space in between it. And that really abbreviates what you see. It doesn't have the whole name. So that's another way to kind of enhance the axis. So the other thing I like to do is I'm going to go to Analytics, and I'm going to add an average line. So I'm going to go under Summarize and drag that average line onto the table pane. So we can see here it brought a line across this worksheet. We hover over it, it says the average, but I kind of want to change it a little bit to make it more visually appealing. So I'm going to right click on that line and select Edit. And I'm going to change the label to Custom. And I'm going to type in AVG, put a space, and then enter the value. So I can see the value right there on the line. The other things I could do is I could also, change it to a dotted line. I could change the color of the line if I wanted. I could also fill below the line, but I'm not going to do that in this exercise because I'm going to do something a little bit different. The other thing I like to do is I like to take off Show Recalculated Line for highlighted or selected data points. So what this does is if you click OK and you click on any points, it shows you once again another line there, and I don't like that. You may like to have it, but I do not. So I'm going to right click on that line again, that average line, and select Edit and uncheck that box there. And then I'm going to select OK. So I still have the tooltip, I still have the average line specified, but I kind of want to take it another step further, and I want to add a distribution band. Basically, I want to add a standard deviation. So I'm going to go same place, Analytics, but this time I'm going to select Distribution Band under Custom, and I'm going to go ahead and drag that to my table. And instead of 60 or 80% of average, I'm going to select standard deviation. And you could put -2 and then 2 to expand it, but I'm going to just select the 1 and then the 1 here as my option. I am going to also select a lighter gray color so it's not so in your face, and uncheck that Show Recalculated Band option. but you'll notice that the label just says standard deviation. So I'm going to change that label from a computation once again to the actual value. So I could see the upper range and the lower range right there on the value. And then I'm going to click OK. So have some enhancements here. The next thing I want to do is I want to add circles. I kind of want to make this a dual axis. So I'm going to click on sales and hold my control key down and duplicate that pill. And then I'm going to right click on the second pill and select dual axis. And then also on the right, never forget this part, sometimes I have, right click on that secondary axis and select synchronize axis. So we have two lines here and two sales marks. Measures. I have two sales measures on the rows shelf. So I'm going to click on sales, the second sales that has a 2, and I'm going to select circle. So I can see I've got nice little circles here on the lines. I'm going to kind of bump them up a little bit. So I'm going to click on the size marks card and kind of move that slider over. So they're just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to go back to the line marks card for the first sales, and I'm going to change the color to a gray. Maybe I'll make it a little bit lighter gray. So I really want people to focus on those circles in my line graph. But what if I wanted to just color the ones that are above and below? And everything that is in the standard deviation, I want that to be just a plain gray. Well, I would need a calculated field for this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to create a calculated field on my data pane. And I'm going to call this anomaly color. And this is going to be a calculated field that's going to be window sum. So I'm going to drag sales to where it didn't find the field's metric swap, because I have this in another visualization. It's always a good practice to keep the calculated fields that you have in a Word document, so you might be able to use them later. So basically what this chart is saying is if the sum of sales is less than the window average sum of sales minus the window standard deviation sum of sales times 1, then label it bad. So that should grab all of these circles that are below that lower line of the standard deviation. Else if the sales are greater than that window average sum of sales and the window standard deviation sum of sales times 1, and that 1 was that number that I selected. Remember, I selected -1 and 1, not 2. If I selected 2, I would have to change this number here to 2. Label those fields good. So all of these circles above that upper standard deviation line should now be a different color. Else put expected. So everything inside the standard deviation will be expected. And then click OK on this calculated field. So then I'm going to place this on the circle marks card for color. So I can see it gave everything above as red and everything below as blue. And I want to change those colors. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that legend and select edit colors. And everything that is good is going to be a blue. Everything that is bad is going to be red. And then expected is going to be gray. I could just double click and select the line color so I'm consistent, and they'll just be that same line color there. So then I'm going to click apply. So yep, so everything there is within range, and everything on the upper and then lower are highlighted. So that calculation helps. I actually forget where I picked it up. It is not original to me. I think Luke Stanky has it in his blog article. That might be where I picked it up. But this is how you take that line chart and enhance it further. I also like to hide my headers, and I also like to right-click format and get rid of these lines around the charts. So I'm going to click on format borders and get rid of the borders on the row dividers. So I'll get rid of the top and the bottom. And then I also like to get rid of the column dividers. So it'll just give me a nice clean chart. So thank you for watching, and this is how you can take your line chart and take it one step further.